Welcome everyone to today's video. It's a great day because Persona 5 Tactica has launched and I've been playing a lot of the game. It's too early for a review for sure, but I've put quite a few hours in and I have some thoughts. I know there's a lot of mixed feelings about this game right now. The art style, Persona 5 fatigue. Was a tactical game the right move, and will it retain the Persona charm we all know and love? Well, I'm going to answer those questions here in today's video, so without further ado, let's get right into it. Persona 5 Tactica is another spin-off of the Persona 5 series. We've had a ton of Persona 5 content to experience over the years since its release, and before I dive too deep into this game, I think it should be said that Tactica takes place concurrently in the Persona 5 Royal story, between the second and third semesters. So if you have no prior knowledge of Persona 5, then you are going to be probably quite lost, literally straight away. There is clearly an expectation here that you have played the Persona 5 game at least up until this point in the storyline. It's not that you won't enjoy the game at all, but there are some elements to the story and characters that I feel you'd really be missing out on if you choose to go into this game blind. Now, with that said, let's jump right into the art style. And I want to hit on this one first because that's the one that's more of a divisive topic, and also the first thing you notice when you turn on this game. I personally don't mind when games go this route. I thoroughly enjoyed the Final Fantasy World game back in the day, and while it's not my favorite thing in the world, if done right, I think it allows for some creativity and artistic direction, and Tactica manages to use this art style to take the style from the original and add a new spin to it. Tactica is bright and colorful. I mean, right from the jump, everything just pops off the screen. It looks quite stunning, and I like what they've done here. There's certain settings in Persona 5 that I have always loved, and with this new art style, I think they'll take some getting used to. Cafe LeBlanc, for example, one of the fan favorites, one of my favorite spots in any video game, is bright, like super bright in Persona 5 Tactica. And I think it goes against the look and feel of the environment and the setting and the feeling of Cafe LeBlanc that the original Persona 5 created, so it may need to grow on me a bit. But I still like it. It's not taken away from the experience at all, but just something I wanted to mention, something that I noticed from the jump. Outside of the art style, the characters, writing, setting, and overall style of the game feel right at home and what you'd expect from a Persona 5 game. If you really love these characters, and I very much do, then you'll likely have a great time with Persona 5 Tactica. Right when I loaded up the game and I saw the opening scene play and heard the music, I got a nice fuzzy feeling inside. If you watch this channel often, you know how much I love Persona and how these games have resonated with me over the years. Head back and look at any of my top 10 lists and you will see a Persona game on them. With that kind of love and care from the fans, there comes a bit of a challenge from the developers to deliver something the fans can enjoy, and I feel like Tactica manages to do that really well in many places. And while I'm not all the way through the game, and there's still a ton of story left for me to play, I like the direction it's heading in very much. Now let's move on to the soundtrack. I love the Persona soundtracks. They really deliver in this department for all the Persona games, and Persona 5 is one of my favorite of all time. And a lot of the music in Tactica is very much an extension of Persona 5. You'll find your favorite tracks revamped or remixed in ways that you never thought that you'd hear, and I really enjoyed that. This is a fun game, and the soundtrack really nails the moment-to-moment gameplay and really elevates the experience when it needs to. As you'd expect, it uses a combination of that high-energy, jazzy rock music, and there are indeed some standout hits that stuck with me after I turned the game off. The hideout music is super catchy, and the music they have when highlighting the game in the PS5 menu is super chill, and I love it. It's really amazing how much a soundtrack in a game can really stick out to you and elevate the overall experience. And with that, I guess it's time to move on to the combat, as that's the main draw here and what sets Tactica apart from the other Persona games. And in fact, this is the first tactical Persona game, and therefore I've been wondering for a long time now if it would really deliver. The turn-based combat in Persona 5 give us a ton of unique ways to tackle various fights and approach different situations. And I'm happy to say that Tactica really takes the best parts of Persona's combat mechanics and doesn't just shoehorn them into a tactics game, but tailored them to work in this format. And that's really, really important to note here. One more strikes, critical hits, personas, guns, and melee combat are all here and approached in various ways that you might be familiar with if you played Persona 5 before. And therefore you should feel right at home here, and that's very much a good thing. Now, I will say that if you don't like tactics games, Persona 5 Tactica is probably not going to win you over, and you might not like it. But let's say, for example, you absolutely love Persona. and you feel maybe indifferent to tactics games, or perhaps you haven't tried a tactics game yet, then this is a great one to jump in with. It's not overly complex, but not super easy either. I always enjoyed the Mario plus Rabbids games, but found the games quite basic from a tactics standpoint, although I thoroughly enjoyed them, don't get me wrong. Persona 5 Tactica does take things up a notch and require a little bit more skill and finesse to get through each combat scenario, but still seems geared towards players that are newer to tactics games. It's not overly complex. You will get the hang of things and you will have fun. My favorite element of the combat is how quick things move. Moving freely in the space during your turn just feels really nice, and approaching an enemy and deciding how you want the dominoes to fall is really quite entertaining. And there's an undo feature which allows you to try out a few different approaches that should help early on as you get up to speed with how everything works. Now, with all that said, I know some of us are really feeling Persona 5 fatigue and are thinking, when is Persona 6 coming? And I understand that sentiment. I'm personally not one of these people. In my opinion, each game that's featured the Phantom Thieves has been an absolute hit and built off of one of my favorite games of all time in wildly different ways. Strikers gave us a fast-paced combat and a sequel-type story that really expanded on the Persona 5 storyline. Tactica really is a great time, so if what I talked about here appeals to you, then I really think you should give this a go. There's a great game in here that is a ton of fun and has so much charm and style to it. I can't wait to spend even more time with this one, and the story has got its hooks in me. I do want to say, after I finish this, please look out for a spoiler-based discussion video where I go down the line where I talk about all the combined Persona 5 storylines from Persona 5, Persona 5 Royal, Strikers, and Tactica, and evaluate how they all came together in the end. If you liked this video, then please like and subscribe. We are approaching 500 subscribers, so thanks to everyone who has come through and supported this channel. I really enjoy seeing the activity in the comments section and responding to all of your comments. So if you have any questions or comments or feel any ways about your experience with Persona 5 Tactica, definitely leave a comment below. And once we hit 500, we'll do some really cool things to celebrate hitting that goal. Anyways, that's it for me. I'll see you all on the next one. Until next time, I'm out.